Yo, what's going on, guys? I know it's a little bit late for the HoH video, but I want to put this out here because I think it's relevant. The information is good. And I mean, a lot of people haven't really picked their things yet. So we do have until the end of the week to pick it. Well, end of the week. You have until Friday to pick what HoH you want. So Summoner's War 8th year anniversary Hall of Heroes returns. 10 monsters are waiting for your challenge in the Kairos Dungeon Hall of Heroes. So what I want to talk about this time is essentially what you should take, why you should take it, if you have skill ups, if you don't have skill ups, if you don't have a unit, if you have a unit, etc. So let's just go through the first one. So first Hall of Heroes returns, we have the Fire Lich, which is Antares. We have the Water Skydancer, Mihyang. We have Wind Ninja, Orochi. Light Phantom Thief, I believe his name is, I want to say it's Liam, but I think it's Louise. Or it's Lewis. And then we have Kamiya, the Dark Nine-Tailed Fox. So between these units, if you don't own any of these units, I genuinely think you should always pick one of the LD ones because they're a lot harder to obtain. The other ones, fairly easy to get over time. Between these two units, if you don't have any of them, I would choose Kamiya. I think she's a lot better than the Lewis. Lewis is pretty niche and doesn't really do anything. He gives 2-turn invincibility for himself and an ally, or for an ally, but it's not really, actually I believe it is for himself and an ally. It's not really that relevant, right? There's not a lot of situations where you need a buff like that. Whereas Kamiya actually does have strong sleep cycling and extra turns. She can actually kill units. People use her occasionally in Special League for 4 stars, and she's actually quite strong in that regard. But for the units here, I want to talk about each of them individually and what they're good at. So Fire Lich is probably the best Antares, or best Antares counter. Fire Lich is probably the best Oliver counter in the game right now. This unit has no accountability for RNG. It is able to proc immediately after you take a turn every single time, and it outputs a lot of damage. It gets crit and attack buff, steals a turn instantly, and then has lifesteal built into skill 2. So Fire Lich, great choice if you're looking for an RTA option. The other units in this family, very viable to skill. Rigel's very strong in Special League, fairly decent in Siege. Grigo is a great dark tank in Siege. The light one, you don't really need the skill ups for it to use it effectively. And then for the last one, Fuko is okay in Siege, not really a priority, and used to be old meta for Necro back before Twins existed. When we talk about Skydancer Mihyang, so Mihyang recently got a buff that gives her a better speed lead in Guild Wars and Siege. She is a great unit. She actually does a fairly good amount of damage on skill 2. Her skill 3 is a fairly strong heal, but it also increases your beneficial effects by 1 turn and decreases your harmful effects by 1 turn. So if you have 1 turn immunity, it goes to 2 turns. If you have 1 turn dot, it just takes the dot away. So very unique aspect to her kit. In terms of skill ups, this unit is great for the skill up family. The light and dark ones are both LDNAF 5s. They're both great, very usable. Chasun is very usable. And honestly, Hwahi, even with her recent change, is very good. But this family is definitely a high contested one for skill ups. I personally think that I will probably pick up Skydancer on the off chance that I build either a second Mihyang or a second Chasun for Siege, or if I get lucky and pull Wolyung or Yinhong one day. So ninjas are very good for a couple reasons. So first of all, the light one was an HoH in the past. Very, very good speed lead for Lucianing in Siege. The wind one is actually very good for farming Alunia. Alunia B5, the dimensional rift. I believe it's called the Sanctuary of Dreaming Fairies. Very, very strong. I use him there with Feng Yan, Savannah, and Yen. And very, very safe 1 minute 10 team. I also think that Garo is totally worth it. So I have multiple Garos built for Siege. Very, very good unit for lots of content, PvP and PvE included. Susano, very strong unit as well. This family is also fairly well contested for skill ups. So between the Skydancers and the Ninjas, I would probably pick one of the two here. And then obviously we have Han, the Dark Ninja, who is in LDNAF 5. That is incredible. So don't need to say too much about that. Phantom Thief family, I only really find one of them relevant personally. I think Lure is the best one. It has Crushing Hit Skill 3, which is an AoE defense break, and AoE pushback of 50%. Crushing Hit Skill 2, that also has an 80% chance to stun and slow, and then a skill 1 that stuns. So Lure is great because he can't glance with his skill 3 and skill 2. It's always guaranteed crushing hits, so it's very good into Molly. It's good into Ragdoll because it's not going to crit. For the other ones in the family, some people use Jean or John, the fire one, for damage. You do see it occasionally in Guild Wars and Siege. Occasionally, you'll also see it in R5 teams, but I think he's very overshadowed by a lot of other units, so it's not really a priority for me. Guillaume, the dark one, more of a niche fun unit. I don't think it's super good. And Julien, the wind one, I think is completely trash. So in terms of this family, this is not a high contested skill up setup. And then for Ninetales Fox, Chami has been an HoH in the past. We also have the wind one, which I believe is Oh, I'm struggling right now. I can't remember. Whatever the wind one is. Daniel's going to be so mad that I forgot what her name is. Orang, that's what it is. Orang is a fusion monster, so this is not a family that's contested for skill ups. I do think that Xihua is mainly used for a leader skill for BJR5. The water one is mostly used for fusions, and same with the Orang. So overall, like, they're not really that good. Sorry, Soha. Soha, after her recent buffs, are actually not bad, though, because she cleanses your team and trips the enemy team, so it's like a mini Tiana. So not bad, usable, but I think that this family is lower on the tier list. So that's pretty much my thoughts on first HoH. In terms of second HoH is a little bit different because there actually is something that's very strong in here that's very good. So let's talk about the Horus first. So Fire Horus, I bet you guys don't know what it's called. His name is Duamatef. Kabesanov, the water one, is the fusible one. We have a Messity, which is popular for copper dozers or copper Kamoon comps, etc. Not really a common comp we see in Siege these days, but can still be used. Amduat just came out as an HoH. Great unit. Could use skill up, so you might want to take that. And then Wedjat. Wedjat recently got a buff that makes him quite good. I think he's quite good on top of his speed lead and his attack bar boost. The healing from his passive is very, very strong. So if you're looking for that pickup, this is honestly a fairly decent pickup. However, keep in mind you could skill, or you could fuse Kabesanovs if you need skill ups. Jack-o'-lanterns. This is the family I want to talk about the most. So Chilling recently got a buff that allows him to heal when stealing buffs, which makes him a very good unit in 20-star, very good unit in 4-star for Siege. For RTA and the Special League. He's also fairly good for Siege. The unit is decent on offense and is probably the best skill ups for the best Siege unit in the game right now, Windy. So Windy is absolutely ridiculously overpowered in Siege. It has completely redefined the meta on what you can and can't run on defense. So this is a high tier skill up in my opinion. Jack-o'-lantern, super high tier skill up. The light one, not that useful in my opinion. It's like a mini Jaeger. The dark one, kind of cool if you have a Hertit, otherwise not really that useful. And the fire one is absolute trash. So that's just a skill up for all the other ones. The Dice Magician are awesome. These are really fun units. Reno's fun, Ludo's fun. I don't really like Morris, the wind one, that much, but I mean, you can play with the gimmicks. These are fun units. So if you really like the kind of like RNG factor to your units, this is probably a decent pickup for you as well. Tableau, obviously amazing. And then we have the dark one, which is name is escaping me right now, but is honestly not that great of a unit. Not a big fan. I think he's the unit that can grief you. So essentially he can make your HP lower if you get unlucky on rolls. So Kung Fu Girls, we have Ling Ling as the fusion opportunity here. We have the light Kung Fu Girl. I believe it's Xiao Ling. It's okay. It's like a more consistent pushback Hua, but in general, the unit's not that great. The Dark One Fei, also not that great nowadays. It does have the speed lead in the RNG for ignore defense, but not a high contested unit. Shaolin, the water one, still great for raids if you want a super safe unit for raids. And then the fire one, I believe it is... Actually, I couldn't even for the life of me remember what the fire one is. I've never used it. It's only been... Oh, Honghua. Mainly skill ups, so that's not really a pickup for me either. So, in general, this is a low-tier pick. I think our higher-tier picks here are looking between the Jack-o'-lanterns and the Dice Magician, especially since neither of them are fusible. Keep in mind, though, that the Jack-o'-lantern is available due to the guild shops, so if you're not building 4 or 5 Windies like I am, you might not need to pick up the skill-ups in this regard. And the last one, the Brownie Magician. So Brownie Magicians are interesting because Draco is really good after they buffed him. So Draco now is guaranteed to give speed buff and then either attack or defense buff with the immunity. Orion has always been strong, fairly strong unit. The buff to give him two buff strip on skill 3 has been amazing. We look at the wind one, and I don't think the wind one is that great. So the wind one has AoE strip and then attack buff, crit buff, and it's good, but it's not commonly used. So I don't think it's usually the skill up for other units. Korona, the dark one, not great in my opinion. It strips buffs and turns them into multiple turns of sleep. It's kind of just a gimmick fun unit, but Gemini is actually fairly good. The speed lead defense break strip on the light brownie is worthwhile. So in terms of if I have to rank these HoHs, the second HoH, I would probably go Jack-o'-lantern, Dice Magician, Brownies, Horus, and then Kung Fu Girl. And for the first one, I would probably go Skydancers, Ninja, Lich, Ninetales, Fox, Phantom Thief, and then Ninetales, Fox. And then keep in mind, this is if you already own the units. If you don't own the units, my suggestion would be Chilling, which is the Water Jack-o'-lantern, and then maybe the Kung Fu Girl or the Brownie Magician because they're the LDs. For the top one, I would probably go with Skydancer, which is the Mihyang, and then the Dark Nine-Tailed Fox, and then the Light Phantom Thief. You can kind of pick whatever you want based on what you need, obviously, but I just wanted to put the information out there to explain what each family is good for, what each unit is potentially good for, why you might want to take them, why you might not want to take them, if you need skill ups, etc. So if there's anything else you guys are interested in this, feel free to ask. Feel free to ask in the comments. I know that's a lot of information to process and a lot of information to kind of take in right away, but hopefully this helps you guys, and I'm so sorry that I didn't get it out earlier. Anyways, thank you for watching the video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.